Hey everyone, my name's Hallease Beast. I'm a digital storyteller and video producer.
And I'm Mr. Hallease. I'm a registered nurse and an avid fan of cigar aficionado. I'm not. I don't know what that is.
We can't be endorsing smoking. You're a nurse.
Yeah, you go to the ER and like they're the worst consumers of like every vice.
That's true, yeah. Anyway, this is this is the Beastcast. Your favorite aunt and uncle talking about married life and things like such as.
And now we're finishing each other's sentence.
I refuse.
Okay. Roll the music.
So on this week's episode, we're discussing something that's been going on, I guess, virally on Twitter. Has it been Twitter?
Topical on the social medias?
On the social medias, women are roasting men on their apartments and how terrible they look.
On the state of the Bachelor apartment.
The Bachelor apartment. And so we figured, wow, let's be topical and talk about that a little bit because Mr. Hallease fits into that.
I mean, I was guilty of it for a period of time, right? Okay, I'm a reformed bachelor pad person.
Yeah.
Been off. I've kicked it for about 6-7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's a sensitive subject. The whole thing is supposed to bring shame onto like the lives that men have, sort of like post-college, if they went to college. And that's actually a good place to start because I feel like the reason why men feel like it's okay is because it's an extension of the college dorm life. So we live essentially in, oh man, I'm trying not to be super idiotic about this, but you live very basically, very simply in a dorm.
Yeah.
Sort of like it's almost like a zoo like area, and it's like,
Like here's your little caged in portion of space.
This is where my clothes are. That's where I eat sometimes, and that's where I use the bathroom.
I get both sides of the argument here. I definitely understand the Bachelor argument because to me it's like, how you gonna shade men for living very simply, right? When, so what's the difference? Like in the minimalist movement or whatever, you got people that are talking about, oh, I live a monochromatic life and here's my bed and here's my this and here's my that. And it is very like sterile, right? So what's the difference between that and a bachelor pad of a guy essentially doing the same thing? Just, it's not everything wasn't bought at West Elm, So like, what's the difference? Yeah, where's the line, In
that minimalist lifestyle, you have people like trying to make as little noise.
Oh
as
yeah, the
possible.
Extreme part of it. Yeah, like living as quietly as they possibly can, which is interesting. I'd be interested to just like see what that is,
I mean, so I see nothing wrong with living in that way. It's not.
It ain't cute.
It's not cute. You're not gonna win people over that you bring over. You're not gonna be.
Well, are you not? I mean, you won me over.
Yeah, but we didn't spend a lot of time there. Did we not?
We spent a lot of time in your apartment. If I can make the counter argument, it's just that I think you can do it. Just at least give yourself like some self-dignity with it. So for you, for example, he had, this was when did we meet? The late 2010s?
The late 20-aughts?
2010s?
2010s.
I don't know. Anyway.
Early 2010s.
And you had an old...
We met in 2010.
Oh, right. You had an old tube TV as your TV.
I did. I sure did.
Which is fine. But you had it...
Got that used.
Yeah, but you had it sitting on what?
I'm going to let you say that because I still, to this day, thought it was like a dresser. Yeah. I don't remember.
He had it sitting on like a piece of furniture that's obviously a nightstand. Like, it is meant to be by your bedside.
Here's the problem. Y'all are living by like these defined definitions of what things are. You know, why are you pigeonholing stuff? One man's like bedside table is just a table. You know, if it's at the bedside, it's a bedside table. All right? Everybody just has to define things, and if someone doesn't live up to that definition, then they're a freak.
Give yourself some self-love and like
Keep painting the picture. It's just
have a table, like an actual TV stand for your TV.
Sure.
You know,
It's like $200, but okay.
Yeah, and then it was also just like you had the artwork you did have made no sense. It was just like
Those are remnants of the dorm.
Yeah, monkey college thing. I don't know.
That was popular in the mid 2000s.
Was it?
Stupid monkey things.
Okay. So that stuff was like haphazardly hung, you know. And then you did have a chess set though, randomly.
I did.
Yeah, on a like glass table. I remember that. Your couch was rough, but it was very soft. I actually missed that couch a little bit. Because it was like super soft.
That was a used couch.
Really? It was like extra. It was like not the nasty kind of old couch soft. It was just like this couch has been worn in, and there's like the fluff's in the right places now. You know what I mean?
I think that was like a $200 couch.
Oh, okay. It was
Max.
good. I missed the couch.
Max.
I missed that couch. It was a good couch. Remember the extra fluff? You had all that extra fluff. Remember that? We played around in the fluff for a little while, but when we were getting rid of the couch,
I had fluff to add to the couch.
Yeah,
wow.
You kept extra fluff for the couch. And then finally I remember in the bathroom, thankfully you did actually use your towel racks. I know dudes that don't use their towel rack. Like, just hang your towel on the rack, you know?
Okay.
And then
Sounds like a list of all my offenses and a criminal record. It's like, okay, and continue. I killed those people. What do you want?
And then finally, you did end up having randomly like wood accenty kind of decor in your bathroom. It was like a wooden vase, like thatch vase thing, and
there was like a square,
a wood square
held aloft on two prongs on like this black base.
It was like something you would find at like TJ Maxx, like accent piece.
That was
or Ross.
I think that was Big Lots in Laredo.
Okay, that kind of decor.
Shout out to Big Lots in Laredo.
So, but we ended up keeping those. Those ended up being in our bathroom. Am I recording? I am.
Yeah, you're recording. So let's talk about my state post college. Right, graduate 09. 1 year removed past the Great Recession.
Yeah.
Still in the Great Recession.
Yeah.
Wanted to go to med school. Didn't know if I was still going to go to med school. Maybe wanted to go to nursing school. After college, moved back with my parents in Laredo for like 6 months. Worked that whole time. Earned enough money thinking that I was going to move to San Antonio and start school at the local university here. Again, to try to get to med school. Doing all that, living on an extremely tight budget. Had a job at a call center. Like just trying to get anything to get out of Laredo and into San Antonio. Parents contributed a little bit, but so bare necessities. Like I'm like a pan set, some utensils, like cooking utensils and eating utensils, some plates. And then it's like, okay, so what do you need to furnish your place? It's like, I need a couch to sit on, max. Mind you, oh man, living in disheveled state. Notre Dame, we had some busted futon that we kept like retying onto it because it would keep sliding down. It was rough over there, you know. The winters were harsh, it just did things to your brain. So after living on that, it's like, oh, any couch is going to be great. Went to some like used furniture store, bought some used couch, and it's like, cool, what do they got as far as TVs? That looks great, super cheap, maybe $50. Stand, that's tall enough, perfect, like $50, $25. And I was like, I'm not gonna like entertain that many people here. Like, I'm just trying to get stuff through.
Yeah.
So everything was minimalist because I didn't want to spend money. I didn't have money. And I was just trying to escape Laredo.
Yeah.
So aside from that, decor historically has never been at the forefront of my mind.
But see, that's the interesting thing about it. It's not at the forefront of his mind, but he can do it. Like, he has an eye, you know? Especially, well, at least when it comes to, like, knowing what I'll like. You have an eye for it.
Yeah, but so that's just, like, the thing that I have. So I know, like, clothing. I know what clothing you would find cute or that you would like. I know patterns that you like. I know things that, that would catch your eye.
Mm-hmm.
Burpee Chris comes out again. But I don't think about stuff that I like.
Yeah.
And I have to actually consciously think about it.
I know.
It's like, oh, okay, what would she want? Probably this or that for a rug or whatever. And yeah.
Well, but that's the thing. So for me, my big thing was after we finally did get married and move in together and all of that, I didn't want the space we shared for it to be very obvious when people come over. Like, well, yeah, I see Hallease lives here. But does Chris live here? I don't know, you know? Like, I kept trying to push you, what kind of colors do you like? If you know, because where you live should be, I don't know, design matters, you know?
Yeah, but so, like, it doesn't really matter that much to me. I know you were concerned about, like, having too feminine, either a pattern or colors or whatever, for sheets, and it's like, you know what, I don't care because no one's really going to see the sheets. I guess if it's like a little too extreme or busy, then I was like, oh, I'm not really feeling that, but for the most part I don't care. And then as far as the environment, you know, like Hallease lives here, but does Chris live here? Okay, so let's talk about dodos, right?
Dodos?
So dodos have been extinct for a while, right?
We bringing in more birds. Okay.
Just talking about animals or like a gray wolf
The
or whatever.
cuckoo birds, and now we're on dodos. All right, we're going to work this into the title of this episode somehow.
Dodo birds and
Minimalism and dodo
dumb
birds.
apartments.
Yeah.
But yes, well, so it's just like an animal. It's like, does an animal live here? I don't know. It's all like wooded, grassy area and stuff. If you see a dodo in the area, then it's like, oh, the dodo lives here, obviously. And so, like, if it's an environment, it's like, well, does Chris live here? Because I don't see his personality shine through in that, like, postmodern painting on the wall, whatever. And it's like, no, oh, there's Chris shirtless and scratching his belly. That's clearly he is here. He is a creature of this element, so he lives here.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess, so you're right, but who was it? I remember we were listening to NPR it was a couple months back, and it was the owner of Whole Foods. And someone had commented on how much he specifically paid attention to the design of the store and how the lighting is and how you feel when you flow through the store and all of that kind of stuff. Because, like, design matters. I don't want to reduce it down to prettiness, but symmetry and color, all of those things can help evoke a mood in your life, right? And so you want the space you live in to feel comfortable, to give you a feeling of safety, of comfort, and all of those things. And design plays a part in that. You know, even in the apartment we're about to move into, I remember when you pulled it up online, you immediately were drawn to the industrial look of it. And so it's like, okay, that's an interesting thing to, like, keep in mind about design for you specifically. Like, is that just based on the time period that we're in, because industrial is kind of coming back and all that kind of stuff? Or is there something about the textures of the concrete and the wood and the brass and, you know, all of that kind of stuff that brings out a feeling of, I don't know, workmanship or craftsmanship, or just, you know, doing things with your hands, rough and tumble? Like, there's different elements to all of it.
Low-key, it feels like we're living in a prison in there.
In this room?
No, in the apartment that we got. Because it's just like concrete everything, and it's like, dang, it feels like maybe we're in jail.
Why are you saying that now?
Well, no, because we're gonna add color.
Yeah, the stuff we're gonna add to it will make it
if
work.
I just like straight lived there as a bachelor.
Oh, you would make it look terrible
I
in
would
there.
probably,
It would feel like a prison for sure.
Yeah.
You gonna beep, sir? What are you gonna do?
Oh, the caffeine's wearing off. Beepity beep 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 beep.
Wow, that was so fast. Okay. Hey everyone, thanks so much for listening/watching this episode of the Beastcast. If you're new here, like, share, subscribe, and things like such as. That really does help, you know what I'm saying? If you are interested in keeping the Beastcast going, a few things you can do. The first thing, let the ads play that you'll see throughout the video. It really does help. I know some of them can be annoying. You know, if today is not the day to let that ad play, I understand, click through it. But if you can, please let the ads play. That helps a lot. And that's just good online behavior to help the creators out that you're watching. Support them in that way.
Interesting side note about that. If you have an ad blocker, it's going to automatically block ads.
Yes, please turn that off.
YouTubers in general, it automatically blocks a portion of their revenue generation.
Yeah. And that's how we keep doing stuff. The next thing, if you want to take it a step further, you can support this channel on Patreon. Patreon.com/Hallease.
There's nothing above me, is there?
I'll put something. Patreon.com/Hallease is where you can support this channel. I have tiers, but they don't matter. Just set a monthly max. They don't matter. Set a monthly max. However much you feel in your heart you want to give to support the channel, you can set a monthly max for that. And it goes towards continuing this, upgrading our gear. I do want to get to the next iteration of upgrading our setup, so it'll help with that. And then also, you know, we just feel great about it. I keep forgetting to like shout out that I have merch. I should do that more. BA Chaotic Good, you see us wear these shirts a lot. If you're watching this on YouTube, literally under the video is my merch shelf. Check it out. That helps as well.
It's pretty nice. Hoodies, phone cases, t-shirts,
pillows,
baby onesies.
Yeah, the whole shebang. If you're not watching in America, teespring.com/stores/Hallease, because it won't be under YouTube on this one. And then what's the
They're pretty cozy.
Yeah, I purposely went with the Bella and canvas because it's like a nice blend, cotton blend. Anyway, quality checks. Anyway, and then finally, if you're listening on Anchor, please rate us.
Yeah.
Wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, please rate us on that platform so that way we can get enough reviews to just have a rating, and that really helps. And also, leave us a voicemail because we like getting voicemails. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Those are all the announcements, right?
I didn't contribute to this very much, but
it's okay. I think that's everything. All right, back to the podcast.
Bye.
Well, so then you acknowledge that there is some value to decorating.
I'm not saying that there's no value. I'm just saying that men living in that way, like, I don't really see a lot wrong with it.
Because they're in transit? Like, are they...
Right, because, I mean, if you think... So, again, thinking about just at the bare essentials, it's like, I'm moving out on my own. I just need enough to get by.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't know if I'm going to stay at this location, this apartment that I'm at,
mm-hmm.
for long. And so if I need to move, I need to move all this stuff.
Yeah.
I want to take it all down.
Yeah.
And then move it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's too much stuff, man. Like, it doesn't... Like, I don't care about it enough.
That's true. I mean, moving is costly. And that was something that I noticed with us over the years as we went from, you know, a 1-bedroom to then 2 to finally hitting like the 3-bedroom house we were in. Think about everything it took to move. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And we still, I mean, even in a 3-bedroom house, we didn't have that much stuff, really. But it was still just,
Well, so let's talk
so
about...
much stuff.
So is living in that way, like, I can rationalize living in that state, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is living in that way just like a way for men, like young men, to sort of like live in that purgatory between the real world and like adolescence?
Oh.
So it's like it's an extension of their old rooms, and so they're trapped. Because typically you see those situations and they either like have just a computer where they typically game. And so a lot of this is just like gaming as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, you know, I come home and I play video games and watch TV and go to bed. That's it.
Mm.
And I mean, there's like a gaming culture.
Mm-hmm.
And some people would say like, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, some people would make that argument that, well, you know, you're still stuck in an adolescent state until you meet a woman or you get engaged in a relationship, and then you start thinking more like an adult.
Oh.
That's interesting. What do you think?
I mean, maybe. I'm coming at it more from like, why y'all trying to knock folks like from a class point of view?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm coming at it more from that. Like, oh, so it's okay for these minimalists to be out here with, a color palette of white to black, and why can't it's obvious that even they're choosing to live in a simpler mindset, even though they don't technically have to, because monetarily they could have more, they just don't want to necessarily. Whereas I think usually most men in that lifestyle maybe aren't actually making that much money, or are in, like you were, kind of in transit trying to get their life going and get to a certain level, and just this is what they can do for the time being. I also feel like, when I was in college, it ran the gambit. I would be in some guys' dorm rooms where it was obvious. It was masculine, but they had decorated, and it was and you could see they took pride in the possessions they did have, And then I also was in women's dorms where it's the same kind of thing. Maybe the couch was purple, but it was still not that great. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's interesting lines here as far as what is, I guess, almost socially expected.
Right, or acceptable.
Across the gender lines a little bit.
Right, so like I wouldn't necessarily expect a woman to have an apartment that looks like it came out of Sex and the City or something. I'm just trying to think, or like it was, or like it's a TV set where it's got like the couch positioned a certain way and it's got like some decorations and stuff. I wouldn't necessarily assume that. If I walk in and a place is mostly empty, then it's like, oh, you either don't have money for a lot of things, you're not really living here that much, or some combination of the two. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Because the other thing too, even in I will say in all the places that I lived before living with you, there was an air of design, but it was mostly focused around color. I wouldn't say that anything was like amazingly put together. It wasn't Instagram-esque, it was just, this is a bed and I like these sheets because I have had the same color palette, y'all, since always. So it was a combination of baby blue, red, white, green, yellow, like primary with some accent color, like always. I think my style was also always a little bit playful, a little bit like childlike, which maybe that's me trying to stay in adolescence as much as possible. No. That might be, that might be me. Why y'all gotta knock dudes for trying? I guess that's the other thing too. What's the intention? If this dude is trying to get where he's going, don't knock him.
Well, is this just like a gender argument where it's like, oh, there's a difference between men and women. Men live like animals in a bachelor life, and like women, we're a little bit more sophisticated, or they do whatever. And they just do things a little bit better. They're just a little bit more put together. They just feel like there's more responsibility. Like what? I guess I'm just wondering what the primary criticism is.
I think some of it is there's more. I think socially there is more responsibility on women to be decorative, and I think that ties into the whole homemaker thing. I think yes, because even when we first bought the house, when I was talking to like the elders of my family around buying the house and all of that, my godmother was already asking me, so color palette, what are you finna do? Like all of that kind of stuff was going into it. But true to her, that's true to who she is, liking that kind of stuff and wanting to talk to me about that kind of stuff. I think that's the big critique. For me, that's like the big critique of those kinds of environments. When you walk in, it's just like, I don't know who you are by seeing this.
Right.
Which that was what kind of freaked me out about you. It wasn't that there wasn't much there or that it was barren or whatever. It's just I had no sense of who you were. Or the space didn't reflect what I was beginning to learn about you.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we should have started with this. This all kind of started with the Vox article that was kind of like written about this in like social media trend about calling out guys' living situations. I think I did touch on it in that it feels like men are trapped in this like immature living situation. Because a lot of them were talking about, oh, this dude had Game of Thrones figures and like
recreated
the kingdom, and like I guess this one character, Jon Snow, like he put him over by the air conditioner because I guess he's in some sort of like wintry. I don't know Game of Thrones.
See, I would think that's like, I know who you are though.
Yeah, but then so like other people had, or like another dude had like Pokemon stuff.
Okay.
But so it's like you have figurines, right? And then you have like video games. So it's like it is just recalling back childhood, right? And so like this dude is just kind of living in like this. It's like these women are being critical of these men, where it's like, am I living or like desiring this man child? And then someone else had a post where it's like, we have these women that, you're supposed to be respected. You like keep a tidy home, or, like you respect yourself in your space, and it looks that way as well. Right. Mm-hmm. You look a certain type of way, you have a certain type of job, and yet you are in love with this like man child who lives in like with only 3 pieces of furniture and has like toy figurines or whatever, and then may or may not be doing anything with his life professionally. And so that's kind of more of a critique of, what are women looking for, and then what are they finding?
Yeah.
And I guess I was stuck in if I had to put my mindset in that living situation, it was still very much like, well, I'm still trying to get in college. I'm trying to get like into med school. But then it was still very much like, I need to get out of this, had a good relationship, and then just kind of like made it work. Mm-hmm. And so I do kind of feel like you can get trapped in that bachelor mindset and that bachelor apartment.
Yeah.
But really it should really only be temporary.
Well, so my question then is, are men just buying their time? Because like, like the social structure thing again, like, women are kind of already expected to keep a certain level of dwelling, right? So I just need to buy my time till I find, if obviously we're always coming at this from the heterosexual sense, but until I find a woman, and then she can just, and then I'll be living in a space that's designed, but I don't want to put forth the energy to do that when I don't feel socially I actually need to. I don't actually need to do that. Like subconsciously
just dragging men.
No, I mean not even, well, but like it's not their fault that socially they can already see like, oh, I don't need to decorate, because that, the under thought is, oh, well, when I get a wife, she'll do it. And I don't have to think about it. And that's fine, because I don't want to, because that frees up my headspace to grind and do other things and get to where I want to get. You know what I mean?
That's a little too much gender expectation. I would almost want to say that it's like, I don't see it beneficial. It's not worth my time to decorate and do all this other stuff until it's like there's a reason to do it. So it's like, oh, okay, I have somebody who's bringing like other friends, or like we're entertaining a little bit more, so now it's worth my time. Whereas before it's like, maybe there's somebody there, maybe there's not.
But that's like a vicious cycle thing, because if it's never worth your time, then is someone ever going to come over? Like, so, because I remember when I first came to your apartment and saw the space, I was like, ooh, I was like, and it was because we had a few encounters before that I already knew some of your character. I was just like, I can overlook this, right? It's not expected. Why is it not expected of y'all? I feel like it is certain. I think it is definitely expected more of women, for sure.
I honestly don't like. I honestly don't know. Like, I cannot wrap my mind around it. Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. If y'all do, like, that's fine. But it's like, I mean,
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but that's only because I've had the experiences I've had now, and learning not to judge people based on where they're living, because so many things, case in point, so many things can change in someone's life. You don't know where they are in transit trying to become, or what they're trying to do.
I also think it's a very it's a question of affluence, because
where
it's like, I didn't have the money to spend on that type of stuff. Whereas if you're making like $180,000 a year or something, then it's like,
you're still living like that, then it's like, I'd judge you a little bit then. If you're making over 100,000, like if you're making 6 figures and you're still living in a very, It's one thing to live simply. It's another thing to live just like, okay, but like you can afford to invest specifically in the design of your space. You know what I mean?
I don't know if we answered the topic. I don't know if we like brought insight to it. I'm kind of more interested in the comments of what other people think.
Me too, actually. Yeah.
Since you have like a predominantly female audience.
Yeah. Yeah, in the comments below, y'all, let us know what you think about this trend going on in the internets about, home shaming, essentially. Men in their apartment dwellings or house dwellings and whatnot. What do y'all feel? Is it bad? Do people need to invest? Understand where you're at, but like, Ross is a thing,
Ross is a bad thing.
There's stuff there though. You can make a space look okay.
Yeah, you're not
with
wrong.
Like $50 at Ross. Like you can make it work. You know what I'm saying? And so is that just a waste of headspace though? Like let us know in the comments below. And if you're listening on Anchor, shoot us a voicemail and let us know what you think. So
yeah.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
I don't know if we accomplished anything there.
Yeah, we just talked about it. All right, wait. Oh.